Section 2.3 is on solving inequalities using multiplication and division. And just like your Chapter 1, Section 1, solving equations using multiplication and division, the properties are going to be very similar in this section as well. The learning targets for this section are that you will be able to solve inequalities by multiplying or dividing positive numbers, and you will be able to solve inequalities by multiplying or dividing by negative numbers. For our core concept, we have the multiplication and division property of inequality. And this property is very similar to the multiplication and division properties of equality. So they are showing you that if you multiply or divide by the same number on both sides of your inequality, you will get an equivalent inequality. So example 1 is multiplying or dividing by positive numbers. So for the first problem, we have solve -4 is greater than x divided by 4, and we want to graph the solution. So notice here we have x divided by 4. So to move this 4 and get the x by itself, we have to do the opposite operation of division. The opposite operation of division is multiplication. So we're going to start by multiplying by 4 on both sides of this inequality. So we have 4 times our -4 is greater than 4 times x over 4. So positive 4 times -4 is going to give us -16. Bring down our greater than. The 4's here cancel, so we're left with our x. And then we want to rewrite this so the x is on the left side. So we're going to have x is less than -16. So this is, again, our first answer, solving the inequality. And then next we want to graph it. So I'm going to label my tick mark right here, my -16. I'm going to put an open point because it's not equal to. And then we are going to shade to the left since our inequality symbol here is pointing to the left. So this is our second answer. For the next problem, it says solve 2n is greater than or equal to -14 and graph the solution. So over here we have 2 times n. So we want to divide both sides by 2. That's the opposite operation of multiplication. So our 2's here are going to cancel and we're left with n is greater than or equal to -14 divided by 2 is -7. So here's our solution, and then we need to graph this. So we're going to label our tick mark -7. This time we're using a closed point because it's equal to, and our inequality is pointing to the right, so we are going to shade to the right. And here is our second answer. Example 2 is multiplying or dividing by negative numbers. And what's important about when you're multiplying or dividing by negative numbers is that you need to flip the inequality symbol. So if we're looking at our first problem here, we have 3 is greater than x over -7. We want to get the x by itself. This operation, x is dividing by -7, so we are going to multiply both sides by -7. So we have -7 times 3. And since I'm multiplying by a negative, I'm going to flip my inequality symbol around. So now I have less than negative 7 times x over negative 7. So negative 7 times 3 gives me negative 21. Bring down my less than symbol. My negative 7s here cancel, and I'm left with my x. And then I want to flip this around still so that my x is on the left. So we have x is greater than negative 21. So here's our answer. I'm going to label my tick point negative 21. We're using an open point because it's not equal to, and we shade to the right. So this is our second answer. Okay, the next problem, we have negative 5m is greater than or equal to negative 45. The negative 5 is being multiplied by m. So the opposite operation here is to divide by negative 5. So when I divide both sides by negative 5, those 5's cancel, so we get m. I divided by negative 5, so I need to flip my inequality symbol. Negative 45 divided by negative 5. So negative divided by negative gives us a positive, and 45 divided by 5 is 9. So we have m is less than or equal to 9. Label our 9 down here. Our point is solid because it's equal to, and we're shading to the left. And this is the answer for our graph.